everyone. My name is Alison. I am a birth doula, childbirth educator, and midwife assistant, currently located in Malmö, Sweden. I am starting this vlog mainly because it's been a passion project of mine for quite a long time now. And I have always just wanted to share more education about the birth world, about pregnancy in general, and also the postpartum period. And I just want to be another voice of positivity out there for those who maybe have only been hearing a lot of negative stories or horror stories about pregnancy and birth. And I just wanted to help prepare people in the way I've been helping prepare a lot of different, hundreds of parents at this point, prepare for their upcoming birth and their upcoming, new little baby coming home. So I always wanted to start this passion project when I myself got pregnant. So I am currently 18 weeks pregnant right now and very excited. I am 34 years old, so I was really, I've been preparing for the past 12 years. I really have worked in this world since I was 22 years old. I essentially became a midwife assistant in Sweden as graduating high school. I became a medical assistant, and from a really young age, I was always wanting to become a mother and wanting to learn everything about birth and being really prepared for that day when it came. And so it led me to then start working in the hospital at a very young age. So I was 22 when I started working with midwives in Lund Hospital in Sweden, where I learned an incredible amount from a lot of incredible humans. There were a lot of patients that were coming to our hospital at that time that are from all parts of Scandinavia, and they were really like the specialists of anything heart related with your baby or premature babies. So I learned a lot during my 2.5 years there and supporting over 300 families. I wrote down every single one because I was really wanting to track how many I could actually support during such a short period, but they were all so meaningful, and they all brought me like such a reward of just like, wow, okay, like we're all so different. There are so many ways to give birth. And it just really taught me to really respect the medical system so much and learn that there is a tool for everything in birth. There is no wrong way to give birth. My biggest thing has always been to help it be as positive as possible in a very intense and, you can't really plan for birth. You can't really plan for pregnancy or the postpartum, but you can create an environment that's very positive no matter what comes up. So I learned really, really early that I could help make someone's journey just a little bit more positive no matter what they were facing. And it was a meaningful job for a long time. And then I got really curious of a different way of giving birth. I guess I was always wanting to become a midwife from a really young age. Like I want to deliver babies. Like that's something that I want to do. But I was always just really insecure after working with midwives all the time because it was such a huge responsibility at the end of the day. And being a medical assistant, I could really just be the support person. I didn't have to do a lot of the really big responsibility of keeping 2 humans alive, sometimes 3 humans alive. And so for me, it would take me an incredible amount of courage to become a midwife. And I didn't have that yet. So I actually decided to move back to America. I had been in America, or had been in Sweden for about 13 years because I moved to Sweden when I was 11 years old. And so when I was 25, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna move back to America. I had a best friend in America who also was, she was in a time of her life where it was also a really good time to just let's just try something new. and she lived in Florida, so she wanted the beach really close by. So it just kind of automatically became Los Angeles, California, that we decided to move to just stay a year, just kind of let everything go and be in the present and just really be on our own for kind of the first time in our life. And so we landed in Los Angeles in 2016, and we were doing all the things, exploring, having the adventure of our lives, and I met my husband. I was really not in a place of looking for someone or wanting anyone in my life. I was really enjoying the life and the independency that I had, but when I met him, everything changed, as it always does. And it felt really just right to be together. And by 2017, we were married, and yeah, we're still together now all these years later. And it's been an incredible journey together, just from starting in Los Angeles. He was studying, so it ultimately we just decided to stay in Los Angeles for a few years until he was done and had some life experience, because he's originally from Turkey. So we're like, okay, we'll just see what Los Angeles has to offer. I was working at a small cafe at the time, and I was like, okay, well, I need to get back in the birth world somehow. I can't be doing this if we're gonna stay here. So I landed a job in Santa Monica, and it was in a little like baby new parent boutique, and it was the cutest thing ever. It was like walking into this little secret. It was very kind of like not hidden, but yeah, kind of hidden, you know. It was really warming, welcoming. They had everything from, you know, diapers to maternity clothes to classes for new parents, lactation consultants to help with breastfeeding, postpartum doulas to come to your home after you have a baby. And it was just all so very new to me, because I had really only been focusing on birth at that point. So this opened a whole new world to me of like, wow, just the challenges that new parents face all the time. And I was listening to a lot of parents' stories, because we would have these groups of moms and parents, and there would be parent groups and there would be mom groups, and I was kind of the helper, so that watching over the toddlers so they wouldn't like fall and hit themselves, so that their parent could be having kind of a therapy session with all these other new parents, and with a family mental health therapist. So I was literally getting to hear all of these stories of like what's going on with my toddler right now, birth stories, because they start going to these groups when the babies are like 6 weeks old. So for me, I was like, wow, this is such a community. They were also very close. They were friends for life. Like people who were in these groups they stayed in touch. They had someone that was going through the same thing as they were, and it was so eye-opening, and I just felt so fortunate just to sit there and watch over all the cute little kiddos, but also just be able to listen to a mental health therapist to kind of speak to the different issues that everyone was having and facing, and also the positive stories, you know, and just made me long to having a baby even more. So I spent a couple of years there and loved it, and I had so many great friends from there. And ultimately, one colleague told me one day, she's like, why are you not a birth doula? And I was like, what's a birth doula? I think I had met one doula in Sweden during my whole time there, because in Sweden, it's just not a thing, or it wasn't then, to have a birth doula with you at the hospital. So I had never really looked into it. And so I looked into it when I got home. I read everything there was to know about birth doulas and realized it was a huge career to have in Los Angeles, and decided to do my training that month with this amazing woman named Atoosa. And so while I was working at this baby boutique called the Pump Station and Nurtury in Santa Monica, I was kind of doing this course to become a birth doula. And I thought that I knew kind of what birth was. I knew kind of what to do. But when I went this training, my eyes completely opened to the possibilities of supporting new parents in a completely different way. I learned way more about the physiological process, our nervous system, just how there's so much impact in this experience, and how me as a doula, you know, you're a different doula for every parent's every parent that you serve and every family that you serve, you're a different doula, because there's different needs. Every family has different needs. So I was blown away by this training, and I did start supporting parents like that same year. And one of them was actually a colleague, one of the mental health therapists that I was working with, and she was expecting her first baby boy, and she was going to have a birth center birth. So it was an out of hospital birth. I had never supported a birth outside of the hospital, so I was very excited to do something new and to just see this whole new world that I had learned, of course, so much about, and was very excited. So turns out I was supporting them at home. We went to the birth center. It was an incredible birth. It was beautiful, dreamy experience, and I was sold. I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. This is just the best. I don't have to have the responsibility of a midwife, and I can be this huge impact for someone. This is what I want to do. But ultimately, life happens. And so it was kind of the time where we're like, if we're going to move back to Sweden, we should go try it out, see what it's like for 6 months, to see if that's where we want to maybe have babies in the future. So in 2019, we came back to Sweden. We're here for 6 months. And I think we were just feeling like very unfinished in America, and felt like, oh, there's something else, like something pulling us back there. But we wanted to try a different state. We weren't loving like Los Angeles in that sense. We knew we didn't want to raise a family in Los Angeles. So we were kind of like, let's just find a city that matches our lifestyle. And ultimately we landed in Portland, Oregon, and it was a dream come true. We had no idea what we were going to do there. We did, of course, a ton of research. So I knew there was a huge birth doula community. My husband is a strength and conditioning coach. So there's a huge outdoor sports and just a lot of really amazing exercise professionals that work there. So we're like, yeah, let's just go to Portland, Oregon. So we went there, and it was the best 4.5 years of our lives, probably. It was an unexpected move. And when you don't know what to expect, it's just, people can surprise you. And we knew that Portland was a very community kind of city, and it really turned out to be really true. We found a community really fast. We just felt a part of the city very fast. And of course, the nature. The nature was beautiful. So we really were thriving. We both had our own businesses, and we were doing what we loved. And ultimately, we were like, okay, now I'm doing, as a full-time birth doula at this point, I'm supporting five clients a month, and I did that for 3 years. And so yeah, after 125 births, I was kind of like, wow, this isn't sustainable. Everyone thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. But in the moment, when you're going just from birth to birth to birth, there's just so much adrenaline. There's so much, you're kind of on a high all the time, and you're like, you want to help as many as possible. And you start learning different midwives in the area, and you start getting referrals from other doulas and other parents. And I just could never say no to someone that was like, hey, I heard about you. Are you available this month? I'm like, I'm kind of full, but you know what? Yes, there's some reason that you were put in my path. And so I would really have a hard time saying like no to anyone. But every single parent that I served during those 3 years gave me so much, and I cannot even express how much I learned. So part of my passion project with this whole vlog, because I'm definitely not a camera person, but it really is to bring a lot of my previous birth clients on to tell their stories. Because when you're pregnant, one of the best things that I as a birth doula would recommend my clients do is listen to positive birth stories. Because we all know the negative ones, we've heard them, they're out there, but there's way more positive stories than there are negative ones. And I really think that where you focus your energy and mindset during pregnancy can hugely affect your birth. So I would really be like, really expose yourself to as much positive stories and things as possible during your pregnancy, to really help support the birth that you want to have. So I know there's a lot of birth stories out there, and there's a lot of education out there, but me being also a childbirth educator, which was a huge step for me because I'm kind of shy in person. I'm very extroverted, but in front of a camera and in front of like a group of people, like I'm very shy. I get very nervous. So me even doing this is just very, very funny, but at the same time, I just feel like this is such valuable information. I need to get it out there. And I think becoming a childbirth educator, when I was in Portland, I became that through Lamaze International. And it gave me so much more confidence of like, actually, I'm already doing this. I'm already teaching all the time for all my doula clients. This is just for a group of people instead. So I would teach classes with a lot of hands-on exercises. We would do so many hands-on things, and I would really become very passionate when I talked about birth. So it gave me a lot of confidence to be like, you know what? I don't like being in front of the camera, but I'm gonna do this because this is needed. And I feel like when we don't go after our passion in life, we're just gonna regret it. And there's no perfect time. But I knew that me being pregnant was a time that I could probably start something like this, because now as a doula and a medical assistant, I can bring in just a different point of view of like how I'm preparing during my pregnancy, what am I doing daily, and how am I preparing for birth and the postpartum. And so, yeah, that's kind of my whole goal with this entire vlogging, is really just you coming along with me through my pregnancy and getting maybe some ideas for your own birth, and sharing a lot of stories from previous people who have given birth, previous clients of mine, and also having a lot of professionals on. So I have gotten to know so many incredible professionals in this field that I have a huge list of people I want to have on to talk about all the things. And I'm hoping that, you know, you'll follow along with me, and just, if you're a birth nerd like me, like really just, we can never have too much information. And I'm still learning. After 12 years of working in this field, I'm still learning. I'm currently back in Sweden, actually, because we were like, you know, if we're ever gonna move back to Sweden, it's to raise a family, and now's that time. So we came back here actually in 2024, July. So we've been here now for a few months, and we're starting to kind of get into a groove, and now we're expecting, and I'm working in labor and delivery and in postpartum. So I'm helping with breastfeeding and birth every single day still. So I still feel like I'm a part of making a positive impact on the days that I'm working. And I'm just not on call anymore, since that was kind of the more unsustainable part of being a doula in the States that I found, was having just you need to just be very impulsive and just kind of get up and go when you're needed. And it's kind of hard when you have a baby and you don't have a lot of family around. So ultimately we moved back here to Malmö, and we're here currently. And there's a lot of exciting things coming up in the next months. So yeah, I really hope that you'll join me for this whole journey and just reach out. You know, I really hope to make a community, and a positive community, out of this entire vlogging thing. So I'm grateful that you're here.